Oh, yes. That 5 o'clock lunch at one of those fish places along the harbour of Cabeza de Lobo. It was between the city and the sea. And there were naked children along the beach, which was fenced off with barbed wire from the restaurant where we had our table less than a yard away from the barbed wire fence that held the beggars at bay. They seemed to dart up to the fence, as if blown there by the wind, all crying out, "Pawn, pawn, pawn," the word for bread. They were a band of frightfully thin and dark, naked children, all with frightful grins, and they made gobbling noises with their little black mouths and stuffing their little black fish to the black mouths. Oh. Of course, we were sad we had come to this place, but it was too late to go. Cousin Sebastian wasn't well. He was popping those little white pills in his mouth. I think he had popped so many that he had started to feel weak. His eyes were dazed, but he says, "Don't look at those little monsters. Beggars are a social disease to this country. If you look at them, it ruins the whole country." Then the band of children began to serenade us, making music, if you could call it music. Their instruments were of percussion. I stole glances at them when Cousin Sebastian wasn't looking. As well as I could make out, in the white sand beach, their instruments were tin cans strung together, and others bits of metal, and other bits of metal flattened out to make cymbals, and others had paper bags with a string on them that they pulled up and down and side to side to make a sort of noise like a oom-ba-ba, oom-ba-ba, oom-ba-ba. This sort of sound like a tuba, like oom-ba-ba, oom-ba-ba, oom-ba-ba. The sound. All during lunch, they stayed at a fairly close distance. I think Cousin Sebastian was terrified by this concert. I think he recognized some of the musicians, some of the boys. But no, you don't understand my cousin. He accepted all as how things are and thought that nobody had any right to complain or intervene whatsoever. And even though he knew that what was awful, and that what was wrong, and my cousin Sebastian was certainly never sure anything was wrong. He thought it unfitting to take any action whatsoever, but just to keep on going as something in him directed. After the Sabbath, before they brought the coffee, Cousin Sebastian pushed himself away from the table. And he said, "Waiter! They have got to stop that! Make them stop that! I am not a well man. I have a heart condition. This is making me sick." This was the first time that Cousin Sebastian had ever attempted to correct a human situation. I think perhaps that was his fatal error. He pushed himself away from the table. He walked out of the restaurant after throwing a handful of money on the table, and he fled from the place. I followed. It was all white outside. It was hot, blazing white. White. It looked as if there was a giant bone of a wild beast in the sky. And it burned so bright that it turned white, and it turned everything underneath the sky white with it. Cousin Sebastian seemed to be paralyzed at the entrance of the cafe. I never made any suggestion rarely make any suggestion. But this time, I did. I said, Cousin Sebastian, why don't we go down to the waterfront? We're more likely to find a taxi there. Or why don't we go back into the restaurant and have them call us a taxi? Let's do that. And he said, mad! Are you mad? Go back into that filthy place, never. Those children shouted vile things about me to the waiters. So I said, oh, well then why don't we just go back down to the waterfront? And he said, will you shut up? Please, will you shut up? I want to handle this thing. Will you please let me handle this? And he started up the steep street with a hand in his jacket pocket where I knew he was having pain in his chest from his palpitations. But he walked faster and faster in panic. But the faster he walked, the closer and the louder it got. This oompa, 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 oompa of the following bear. They had somehow gotten out of the barbed wire fence and they were following him. When Cousin Sebastian started to run, and they all screamed at once and seemed to fly into the air. I screamed. Cousin Sebastian screamed. He screamed just once. For this flock of plucked little birds. Well, I ran down. The easy direction to run was down the hot, white, blazing street, screaming out, help! All the way, until waiters, police, and others ran up the street with me. We got to where my cousin Sebastian had disappeared. He was lying naked as they had been naked. This is all believe. Nobody on earth could believe it. Nobody. Now don't blame them. They had devoured him. Torn. Or cut parts of him away with knives or maybe those jagged tin cans they used to make music. There wasn't a sound anymore. It was just Sebastian. And what was left of him that looked like a white paper wrapped bunch of red roses that had been torn and crushed and thrown against a white wall.